Okay, I had let's run this initial Django project skeleton. I had a few glitches when I tried to run it last time, so I want to do this. So you basically come over here, you click on the run the PyDev Django. Now I already had to run this, so I just picked the one I already did. Right. So now it started. It just says start a project at this location. So if I go to this location in my browser, I should be able to see it. So, right, and then click enter here. It worked. So what this says is the Django project has been launched, and there is nothing in it right now. It just says your first Django powered app. Okay, so what we needed to do is actually to add the application specific to the project. So let me stop this, and I'm going to add it to it. Now, the way the structurally a Django project is actually, I need to kind of talk about this. So the Django, this is a site called Tango with Django, and a Django project starts at the if you look at it from a web browser's perspective, you would say, okay, I will let me go to the website, and a Django project starts with nothing. Basically, at the root level, there's nothing. It's just other project, other than a project, right? That's what you see here. Now, what we need to do is to make a application. Now, in the term of application really is in a Django's term, it's it's a URL where a group of web pages, being belong to. So you basically logically group all these related web pages into one, what we call application. So so it's a little bit different from the concept of regular application, like exe file or .com file. So this is actually just if you picture as a website, and then you have a logically group them all the URL into one group. That what you call application. And so uh, in this example shows you the logic, how the location of this. So assuming there's an application you call Rango, and so your root domain, which is your project, right? And then you will go to that application called Rango, and then all the web pages underneath of it. Now, in a live situation, most likely when you do this, you actually just hit the root level here, right? A domain, and then you hit the pages. So okay, but because when you're in a large website, you will have multiple pages, and page has contain more pages. So it's really better organized in a more of a logic grouping way. In our example, we will have is AvTech Passport, right? There will be we will create a one called AvTech Passport, and then inside of that you have a collection of web pages we'll be going to. Now, in the example, the screen design I showed you before, we'll actually have other package applications like student and billing, so on and so forth. But all of them will be at this level. Okay, all right. So, but the initial landing of that will use the same name as the project called AvTech Passport. So coming back here, now you look at this. So we have the initial web page project skeleton, which is this, right? Now we're gonna add is I call landing page. Remember the screen I showed you when we did this? We wanted to start with this is uh, once we pass the login, let's put the login aside for a moment, and then once we pass the login, this is the landing page, right? So that's so what we do, we call this entire landing page as a Django app, which is I name them as AvTech Passport. Okay, that's the root. As we adding each of this, we will have them group into separate. I call Django's term called applications. So it will be we'll have a student, we'll have billing, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's go back to the project. So, and this is we already have a skeleton. Now we're going to create a, a landing page app. In PyDev, to make things a little bit more confusing, the PyDev don't call this as being a app. So it's really not a very good because it confuses people. So the way you do it is you say PyDev package. Okay, this has nothing to do with Django. It's just the terminology PyDev uses. Okay, so in here we do this. As I said, I'm going to create an application called AvTech Passport. Okay, now this is the project, and the end of the project you have multiple applications. So the first application I'm going to create is called AvTech Passport. With the goal is to make this to be the landing page once we logged in. Okay, so it will be like this, right? Visually it looks like this. So let me create this one. So I have this app. Now in Django there are some basic modules you will have to have it, and they also have to have the same name, because otherwise structurally the Django framework will not work right. There if you read some of the online literatures, and there are different ways to create it, but in the way I'm doing it, I'm just follow the initial guideline or most common ones. So the most two common modules needs to be created on each of the applications. Every application will have it. Is one is called urls.py, and the other is the views.py. So let me create this two first. Okay, so we'll have the Python module. It's called urls. Okay, and I'll explain what these are for. And then we also need to create a one called a PyDev module called views. Okay, so the function of these two is really the URLs by its own name is basically responsible for the routing of which page to go for any page underneath of the passport, the AvTech passport. Okay, and then the view is just once it's does the routing of where it goes, it tells which view to go inside, because the views.py, as the word implies, right, it's prose, meaning it has multiple views in this module. Okay, so that's a quick term to describe this. But before we actually adding this app into the project, we need to do some quick thing. First is actually in the settings.py at the project level, you need to add the reference to this. So this is a new app, so we need to add this to the project level. AvTech. Okay, so that'll be that's the first step, is just to make the project, the overall project setting aware of AvTech Passport. That's the new app. Now, as we're adding more, in this GUI, right? The GUI asks for a student. In the future, as we're moving down the line, we have the sections we're talking about how to add these to. You would have to add we would add a new app called student. Okay, and then this will also needs to be updated in here too. Okay, so that's the first step. The next step is actually at the root level, the project level, right? So we need to tell this is already pre-generated when I generated the Django skeleton. So I need to add a redirect. So if when user enter the URL at this, let me show you. Okay, so here if I enter says tech passport, right? I wanted this be redirect to the view in here. Okay, so to do that, I need to add a URL redirect here. Okay, so we will. This is our new app, right? We're adding to it, so it will be here, right? So we needed this, and then we want to say, when you see this, you tell the Django server, say, okay, if you see this URL, please go to passports url.pys to decide which view to be loaded, the default view. So now, in the interest of the time, I'm going to just copy paste because I already pre-made this, the you know the code. So let me just to do this quick. So when when this URL is called, I will say, you know what? Please go to the passport, call the urls.py to redirect to the next level. Okay. Now, as it's indicated, it couldn't find an include module. So it turns out include module is in the django.conf.urls. So you just add this here. Okay. So that will go. Now once this is included, which means it goes to load this one, right? The passport.urls.py. Now you want to tell in this module, you want to tell where that page is supposed to be, to load it. So again, I already pre-made this to make it quicker. So this line says is, sorry. So this line says, when the URL hit where anything was started with this, anything after that, it will go to, if you don't explicit define it, it will go to the views.index. Okay, the view, now it says it couldn't find the view. The way basically, because the view modules here hasn't not defined the index view yet. So, but I have to include the module just so at least to. So these are the tools you want to include it, because otherwise the URL and the views module is not there. So here it says is go to the avtech part passport to import this module called views. Okay. The reason right now it's highlighted index, it says it tells you it couldn't find them. Okay. When you try to import, it couldn't find the view index method. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we want to go there to add it. To get it started, we're going to just have this return in a most simplistic way. Just return says, this is the method, right? When the URL included this, right, indexes, it actually references the view.indexes. And all it does is return a HTTP response says, avtech response says, passport says, hey there. So when I run this correctly, in theory, this would actually run this, it will launch that page with that response. Okay, so we're going to see this. All right, so now if I go to this page, right, let me get this. You see this? Now if at the root level, since I remapped it, right, so it really doesn't have anything, because before it has a default page. I don't have it anymore because I remapped it. So if I do the avtech passport, right, this is where I want to go. There you go. Okay, so what the flow is this. From here, if you enter the avtag passport, it says, please go, if I see this pattern, this is a regular expression, right? It says, if I see this pattern, please redirect the request to this. So it's calling this, right? The avtag passport.urls. For then when this module is being called, it says, oh, you know what? Anything past beyond that, there's no other specifications routing wise. It will call the view.index. Please ignore this because the PyDev Eclipse has some bugs or problems. It says it couldn't find it, but it is there. So just ignore this error. Okay, this is the bug in the PyDev Eclipse. So basically, this says if you, it only does one redirect. It says if anything after that, please call view.indexes. So that's really what happened. I mean, you call here, right, and it will go to the, it calls the view. The view returns HTTP response, says avtag passport says, hey there, you know. So from the how the flow logic works, it's very similar to this, right? So you have the at the root level, and then you enter passport, avtag passport. It reroute to indexes. That's what it returns. Okay, so that's how basically we just went through this flow in terms from when URL goes to the next, ultimately get the response back from our response. Okay, so that basically I'm going to stop this particular segment of the tutorial. The next segment we're going to basically create these menus, and also to basically we will not do any styling. We will create these menus. Okay, so you will have a basically put the content in on the multiple pages, so it not just limited to this hello page. Now before I do this, okay, I want to make one small change because this is also important. Now if you look at the page right now, I have to enter avtag passport, right? When you have multiple pages, and in the most scenario, you actually only enter at the root level, right? Because that's what people do. In our design requirement, the wireframes, if you look at this, we also said at before we even, assuming we don't even do the login page, right? Then the next page is actually the landing page supposed to be this. So because we are calling this as avtag passport, so this should just every time when I do the logging, it after I logging, it should go to this directly without having me type in the avtag passport. Okay, I shouldn't be doing this. So how do you map this directly at the root level? Well, this is how you do. Remember at this where we prompting user for we said if the regular expression, the pattern matches the beginning of the avtag passport, then go to there. Well, since we want to directly at the root level go to this directly, so all we need to do is actually change the regular expression here. Okay, so the way, if you look at the Python regular expression document, you'll see it. This is what it look like. So right, you already say, okay, anything started this symbol representing anything starting from the URL root level, anything gets called will go to the avtag passport.url will be called. So all we need to do is here is to just leave here, meaning just delete the avtag passport in the URL in the regular expression pattern, matching pattern, and this says is from starting from the beginning. Anything beyond that, it will go to this avtag passport URL, which in turn will call the index view, right, which is the index HTML. Okay, so if we do this, let me stop this and restart it. Now, if I do this, right, you're not gonna see it. So basically, at the root level, right, at the root level, it gets called. So now I'm no longer needing to enter the av tag, right? So I map the basically I map the root uh, URL to my application called avtech passport. Now this is really in my other project I usually call this as being I call it actually literally I call this landing page. That way it's a little bit more explicit to say, oh, this is the where once you pass the login, oh, at the root level when you do this, when you enter the root level URL, this is where it will go. Uh, but I think that this is better. The way naming this is a little bit more explicit because it tells you this is at the root level of the entire project. So that's why I use the AvTech passport, you know, to separate the with uh, other applications within the Django project. Okay, so that's pretty much concluded to this segment. Basically, what we did is we set up the environment like this, and we create a skeleton. We also create the initial landing app or landing page, and then next segment or tutorial segment, I'm gonna show you how do we create the basic structure to hold the common web libraries, the JavaScript file, CSS file, as well as create the page content without adding the styling to it. Because that way at least you can see what would out of box the Django web page would look like. Then we will add the style sheet, those we specified in this, right? So this is we will be adding the Bootstrap admin, Skin Blue, jQuery afterwards. Okay, that will be in the next segment. All right, thank you for watching.